Roger Ward from WLDS in Jacksonville, Illinois. On a different, more serious note, one of our main farm broadcasters, isn't here I don't think, has suggested he would like to see you as a spokesperson for American agriculture. Would you like to do that, and would you be interested?
Well, it's a tricky word, you know. On the one hand, I don't think American agriculture needs a spokesman. I think they need an advocate. And the advocates that I believe they need are people like me who have shown a long-term addiction to chewing and swallowing. I think the trick, if there is one today, is just to hit the reset button and remind people in 1,000 different ways of the amazingly gobsmacked task that you guys do day in and day out, which is feed 300 million people 3 times. It is so easy to become distracted by a lot of other agendas and a lot of other voices and a lot of angry acronyms that are out there. But all those conversations are fine. To me personally, I think it's a free country and people ought to be able to talk about whatever they want to talk about. But I do believe what ag needs is unity. I think that there are a couple of basic messages that the industry can get behind in a way that I haven't seen them get behind. But I can tell you, after doing the show for 7 years and working shoulder to shoulder with a lot of farmers, I hear the same thing everywhere I go. I've shot in every state and I've worked on most types of farms with most farmers. And what I most hear is a sense that the rest of the country is just disconnected fundamentally from what it is farmers do today. We've just taken it for granted. And this is, if there's a message that needs to come back to over and over and over again, it's just reminding the 300 million people who rely on what farmers do that it's not happening by magic. There's not a steak tree in the backyard. There's not, you know, I mean, it is extraordinary the extent to which we're disconnected from our energy, from our basic manufacturing base, and of course from our food, and from the people who provide it. So on a personal level, I'm a huge fan of all of that. On a professional level, I'm skeptical of the spokesperson relationship because I just see it over and over and over again. And I'm not shy about speaking. I represent some of the, I think, the best brands in the world. But your bias winds up showing when you go out there and start lecturing and preaching to people. And I don't want Dirty Jobs to ever be that. I want the show to be a series of examples that show farmers as they are, that show workers as they are, and that just quietly celebrates the business of getting the job done. There are a lot of ways to speak for Big Ag, but Dirty Jobs is in 180 countries. It aired 700 times last year. And the more opportunities I have just to show farmers being farmers, to me, that's the best way I can think of to move the needle. There are other ways, and I'm open to doing whatever I can for the industry on the whole. What I don't want to do, though, is be a predictable voice, and I don't want to create traditional materials because, in my opinion, the 300 million or so people that need to be persuaded aren't going to be by listening to the traditional sorts of messages. It's just white noise. So I do things like castrate lambs with my teeth because that's how they do it in Colorado, and that stimulates a huge conversation. And it gets a little controversial, but in the end, we get to examine really what happened and why, in fact, that was a really good thing to do. And we dispel some myths, and we give the farmer a chance to show us what he does day in and day out, rather than me the chance to tell you about it, like I'm a guy behind a podium, you know, proselytizing. It's not as persuasive as I wish it was. And again, that's a very long way of saying I'd be honored to help in any way I can, as long as I don't look like a traditional spokesman.